Our third speaker is Roy Richardson Jr. Roy is a recent NHCC graduate. He's been a part of nearly 10 NHCC theater productions in the years that he's attended. I had the pleasure recently of interviewing him over our NHC alumni coffee break, and he is an amazing speaker. After graduation, Roy and another former NHCC student traveled to the East Coast and the South performing and teaching poetry. Currently, Roy is writing a feature film and working on his first short film with a few fellow NHCC alums.
Hey everyone, I'm Roy, as you just said. So yeah, it's kind of crazy to me that I got picked to do a speech about leadership. I'm 24, I work a part-time job, and I was an average student in both high school and college. All that to say, leadership isn't something that I would typically attribute to myself. So for the past few months leading up to today, I kind of struggled to figure out what to talk about. Then a few weeks ago, I turned 24. And I don't know about everyone else, but on my birthday, I tend to get a little introspective and a little sentimental. And I started to think about how crazy it was that I got asked to come back and do a speech right after graduation. I thought about how if I went back to my 18-year-old self and told myself that, I wouldn't believe it. When I started at North Hennepin, I was 18. I was fresh out of high school, and I was in that weird position of seeing all my friends go off and saying goodbye and seeing them get into universities, whereas I had applied to like 7 or 8 places and got rejected from 6 and 7 of them. Luckily, North Hennepin accepted me. So when I started at North Hennepin, I figured, I didn't want to go into doing theater. I got talked out of it in high school by a counselor who told me they wouldn't tell their worst enemy to let their kid do theater in college. So I kind of gave up on that dream and figured I'd do something else. But when I started at North Hennepin and signed up for classes, I found a theater course by Mike Ritchie that fit in the goal area, so I took it. I had no intention on doing any shows at North Hennepin at all. But in his class, he offered extra credit for auditioning for the shows. As I said, no interest in doing a show at the time, but I was an average student and I figured extra credit wouldn't hurt. So I auditioned and I am so glad that I did. I got a small part and I had the most fun doing it. I got to do Frankenstein and meet a lot of my closest friends. I got to meet my mentor, Kathy Hendrickson, around that time. And it really reaffirmed in me that I did want to act. And I knew that I wanted to do that before I even came to the school. Then around that time, Mike told us about this nationwide theater festival that our school participates in. And you go into groups of duos and you come up with an audition package, and then you get to go somewhere and compete with students all across the region. Round one has something like 200 to 300 duos. Round two cuts that in half. And then round three, you're in the top 16 groups in the region and you get to perform in front of everyone who goes. So something like 1,100 people go. Of course, immediately as an actor, I knew I wanted to perform in front of all these people. But then Mike told me that no one from our school had ever made it. So I made it my goal to make it to the finals. So the next day I came into the school and I changed my major to theater. And I started to work towards that goal. Year one, I made it to round one. Year two, I made it to round two. And I thought I could have made it to the finals, but I didn't. And I was really down. But luckily, Mike and Kathy kept casting me in shows and working with me and instilling confidence in me. And then in year three, my best friend Ryan Christensen asked me to be his partner. And though I didn't really have any faith in us, he was really patient with me and he sat with me and he just said, hey man, we're going. I mean, that's the important part. And without him, I wouldn't have made it to finals. We got there that year. Not only did we make it to finals, we were the only community college to go there. And I was just so over the moon. I was finally feeling confident. And then on top of that, when I came back to the cities, I got cast in 2 different shows as the lead in both shows, as one of the leads in both shows. So I finally started to feel really rewarded and feeling super confident in my decisions. And I wasn't paying attention to the time. And before I knew it, it was the end of the summer. and I was going into my senior year at North Hennepin. It all just kind of went so fast. It went by in a blur. I wasn't ready to graduate. I was having too much fun. So I kind of shut down and I got really depressed and really, really sad and pessimistic. But luckily, I had an amazing support system with North Hennepin. I had Mike and Kathy there. I had the communication department, Sean, Stacy, Brian. And then I had my amazing theater friends who walked with me every step of the way and would lift my spirits. And without them, I wouldn't have graduated, but they got me there and I did it. I graduated with my degree in theater. And then those first couple months after graduation, I did struggle. That was the one thing I was afraid of. And I did. I couldn't figure out for the life of me what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. Then in August of 2019, I got hired on to do and teach poetry to kids K through 12 throughout the entire South and East Coast. And of course, I took it, and it was an amazing opportunity. I got to see so many places that I never thought I would ever see. I got to hang out in New Orleans and got to go to DC and see all these cool places, but it wasn't without its drawbacks. And there were many days where I really wanted to quit. But luckily, another one of my best friends, Cade Goodwin, would call and lift spirits. And one day he suggested that with all my downtime, instead of just kind of sitting and waiting for the next day, that I should get back into writing and doing screenwriting. I had been writing since high school, but I kind of fizzled out my senior year of college because I just didn't have the ambition to do it. And I'm glad that he did say that, because without him, I wouldn't have gotten back into it. And now I love writing. I write every day. And now Kate and I are working on making movies and hopefully creating a production company together. We're actually launching our first Kickstarter for our short film this weekend. Um, all that to say, the people that I listed from North Hennepin, these are great leaders to me. They exemplify what makes a great leader. Kathy and Mike, they taught me to keep my head up and believe the work that I'm working on. My theater crew, they taught me to just keep going no matter what, because I wanted to give up plenty of times, but they would always just tell me, like, you're gonna get through it, it'll be fine. And without them, I wouldn't have gotten through it. Ryan taught me patience and to let things come to me, and Cade teaches me every week the importance of being there for people and being resourceful. Um, I try to learn from them and take everything that I've been taught by them to pass that on to other people. That to me shows the sign of a great leader. So in that respect, I hope that I'm making my leaders proud. Now, of course, I didn't get a chance to name everyone that's been a leader in my life. I only had 6 minutes. So hopefully if they're watching, they know who they are. So before I wrap up, I just wanted to say hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. I know they're watching, so I have to say hello. Yeah, try to learn from those people around you. Pass those on to the next people. I think that's the most important thing that we can do as humans. And as leaders, I think that that is the key thing to being good at what you do.